What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition of MVP Sports Live. Right here, you might be watching us either on Twitch or on YouTube. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, it's a fucking Thursday. How you doing? One more day, and then it's Friday, and then it's Super Bowl weekend.
Honestly, pretty hyped. Assuming the Super Bowl will happen. Because, you know, the haircut situation, Ricky.
So I was filled in on the haircut situation last night.
You got more deets?
Apparently, it was 20 members were scheduled to get a haircut.
Oh.
The offensive linemen were there with masks. Barber had a mask on. Okay. That's when they found out Barber tested positive. They pulled the barber aggressively right away. So it was not as the tweet that I saw from Sheffy.
That sounded horrible initially, yeah.
So Super Bowl all good.
Back on. We're back on?
We're back on.
Game on.
Like Pat McAfee always says on a show, like, no one thought we would get here, Dave. I didn't think we would get here.
I didn't either.
I also love the fact when they go, not a single game was canceled. Yeah, but there were a lot removed and fucked over some teams. Steelers.
Yep. Oh, that's the Steelers how the season went.
Oh, that was just a bad sneeze. But we got a little football on the docket today. We got that at the end. We got a lot of basketball. Talking LaMelo Ball.
Today's basketball day. Tomorrow will be devoted to the game of football. Monday will be devoted to the game of football. Got to balance it out.
I mean, one last weekend for football to rule the Monday, Friday kind of days for us.
Yep. And then we'll move into draft season.
Amazing. Cannot wait for the NFL draft. Cannot wait for Monday, because that's when my next mock draft comes out. Completely forgot
Ricky 2.0?
As soon as the game is done, I update the last two picks and I record it.
Ricky 2.0, I dig it.
I do have to fix some things, though, because the Stafford deal fucked some of my trades.
Yes.
Like, the Lions are no longer trading Stafford to the Niners. They're no longer moving up for a quarterback. Now, what the fuck do the Colts do? What do I do with the Colts? We'll have to wait. And
now that Andrew's not coming back.
Yeah, now that he's not coming back at all. Or did I have Stafford getting traded to the Colts in this one? I think that's what I had. That's why it fucks with the Colts. But nonetheless, let's get into business. Let's get into housekeeping before we start. Number one, if you're not in the greatest community in the universe, go ahead and join our Discord. Link down below, or ! Discord gets you in to that Discord channel. Like I said, it is truly where the greatest conversations are happening, even outside of the show each and every weekday. If you'd like to, it does. Some arguments happen, but we always find a common ground in the end. That's why it's the greatest community in the universe. If you want to support us at a monetary value, you can do that by going to patreon.com/MVPvids. Thank you to our Patreon sponsor, Pat Hill. You can also throw us a sub on Twitch and get rewarded like a bronze member. Amazon Gaming or Prime Gaming, they throw that at you each and every month. So why not throw it at us? Get rewarded for doing so. You say, thanks, Amazon, because now I get rewarded from MVP because of you. We're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids. We're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. And today's show is brought to you by MANSCAPED, sponsored by MANSCAPED. We'll talk about them later, Dave. But speaking of MANSCAPED, where you want to keep the ball shaved, Dave, we're going to talk about a ball of ourself in the NBA. And that is the best ball, the biggest ball, the Rookie of the Year ball. That's LaMelo Ball. This conversation started a couple weeks ago as Dave is as red as a cherry right now. I love it.
Yep. You play the game well, and the fact that the Ball family, like our Manscaped reads, I don't think anyone's got better reads.
I really don't. I hope not. Like I put effort into these. I put effort into it. Got to bring the entertainment value.
Yesterday's Mo Bamba twist was a fun one.
Was not expecting it, but I absolutely fucking loved it. This actually started in our Discord a couple weeks ago. I believe it was Philly Sean who brought up the idea of LaMelo Ball needs to be starting for the Hornets. Now it's kind of hit the main stage, Dave, of now the places like ESPN, Fox Sports, all that, they're talking about, is it time for LaMelo Ball to crack the starting lineup for the Hornets? I know that the Hornets have been going with Scary Terry and Devonta Graham out there. I'm going to ask you, is it time for LaMelo Ball to finally be a starter, or does it not really fucking matter for him this year?
So LaMelo did get his first start of the year. I believe last night or a couple nights, couldn't remember. Because they are missing Scary Terry. He was out. So, not ideal because it seems like their best lineup is with LaMelo Ball playing point and having a true shooting guard out there like Scary Terry or the moist one himself, Malik Monk.
He started the last 2 games.
Last 2. Okay, so he has 2 in a row. Can you check on Rozier's injury? I just want to make sure.
I'm doing that right now too.
Thank you. But yeah, like the very clear thing here is when you look at LaMelo Ball's stats and you look at the Hornets as a roster, when he plays more than 20 minutes, there was a stat tossed out that was like, hey, they are like 9 and whatever, and when he plays less than, they are like 1 and whatever. Like, it's a very big distinction. He is a massive impact to their on-floor plus minus. With him on the floor, how much better they are than with him off. He does a little bit of everything. And I think, it's not just his impact, on ball. It's sometimes the little things he does, like at the end of that Sixers game where the game was over. But was it? Because LaMelo Ball, sneaks up behind Joel Embiid at the end of the game, pops the ball through to Cody Zeller. Cody passes it back to him, just kind of stunned that this is happening because Joel Embiid was just ready to dribble the ball out and kill the game. LaMelo Ball, again, steal, gets the ball back, and then drains a transition 3. Boom, we got a game again. Like, all of a sudden, players give a fuck. It's like, it's the energy he brings to the roster. There's funness. He makes the guys around him better. Miles Bridges is having a career resurgence because he can yam the ball down from every angle, every direction that Lonzo Ball sets him up with. I mean, there's just the impact of one player on a team. He is a magnifier of the talent around him. That's what I love. That's what we preached about what he could be. I didn't think he'd be this good out the gates. I knew he was going to be good, but this is something special.
And update on the injury. This is from Sam Purley, Hornets.com writer. And I'm just going to read the whole Roto World thing. Terry Rozier is probable for tonight's game against the Jazz, or Friday's game against the Jazz. Rozier has missed each of the Hornets' last 2 games, which opened up a spot in the starting lineup for rookie LaMelo Ball. What the starting 5 will look like once Rozier is cleared remains to be seen. On Wednesday, Hornets coach James Borrego said that there's no guarantee that he will go back to his regular starting lineup. Devontae Graham, who has struggled for much of this season, may also be a candidate to drop to the second unit. And my kind of thought with this a couple weeks ago when we had this discussion in the Discord was I was on the side of I get why you want LaMelo to start, but there was a side of me that's like, it doesn't fucking matter. LaMelo's putting up so good numbers that he's probably going to win the Rookie of the Year even if he's off the bench.
I feel strongly about that one, yeah.
And this isn't a Hornets team. This isn't a Hornets team that is in win now mode. Yes, they're the 8th seed right now. They'll probably make the playoffs. They'll most definitely be in the play-in tournament. I don't see them falling to where the Heat, Wizards, and Detroit Pistons are. But
I agree.
There is the other side of we drafted this kid at number 3 overall. He is better than Devontae Graham and or Scary Terry. One of those two should be leading the second unit. Yes, I agree. Graham would probably be the one that I would probably push to the second unit, have Ball and Scary Terry out there. But it's just a thing of, it's more on the side of, would this move have already been made if fans were in the stands? Is that kind of a thing that's not, because to me, having him in the starting lineup is more of an excitement thing rather than a, wow, this makes the Hornets real contenders. At the end of the day, Hornets aren't contenders. I don't think it matters except for the excitement value.
I think it matters massively. Okay. They are a different team when he's on the court. Watching that Bucks, technically, are we calling the 2 game sets a series?
Only if they played the same opponent.
Team twice, back to back. Yeah, so the Bucks setup. Yeah. They were a different team against the Bucks when Lonzo was on the court versus off the court. They can beat the Bucks, which are one of the top teams in the East, with Lonzo Ball on the court. I 100% believe that you should be viewing this as they are building with a young core, an excellent veteran, Gordon Hayward, and they should be considered, they're contenders. Yes, they're at the bottom of the playoff picture, but they're still contenders, and they can take a game off anyone. I think they're a dangerous team because they have that don't quit attitude to them because they are a little scrappy, because they do have 4 guys out there who can move the ball and facilitate. It gives them a unique dynamic. The problem is they don't have a center who doesn't suck. You know, Cody Zeller, okay, he's a backup center in the NBA. Bismack Biyombo, less than a backup center in the NBA. You know, like that's the problem. Is like they're being held back by a position that's not this. Now,
well, remember, I do want to inject here. Remember, draft time, there was a lot of talk that Wiseman or Onyeka, like those were the 2 guys that were heavily mocked to
Ball to fall.
Yeah, didn't expect it. But like they were heavily mocked because Ball was either 1 or 2.
Exactly, that's a fair point. So yeah, I mean, I do wonder if they're going to address that this season or if they're going to wait and go into this draft this next season. There are a couple interesting bigs who will be in the middle of the draft, whether it is a Greg Brown, Deshaun Sharp. There's a handful of names, even some Euro players who have been moving high up the boards into the mid-teens to early 20s. So I think it's exciting. I think they make them better. But as I was saying, Devontae Graham is someone who starts the season very bad. Like literally, you can just draw a line at game 10.
Bad
game 1 through
too.
10, he was ass. Yeah, game 10 through 20, he's literally the same player he was last year.
I think that's the thing. Has been terrible.
What's up?
I said his field goal percentage has been god awful most of this year.
No, half the year, approximately half the year. That's what I'm saying. Draw the line at game 10.
Okay.
And he's literally the same player he was last year from game 10 to game 20.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first 10 games, terrible player. Game 11 through game 20, what are we up to now? 22. He's literally, percentage-wise, I think he's shooting like 39, 38, 75 or something. Like, he's literally the same player he was last year. It's awesome. And again, his turnovers aren't, perfect. He's not Morris over at Monte Morris with the insane ratios, but he's still a good point guard. But again, he was a bench point guard last year. They had to drag him off the bench because Terry Rozier is not who they thought he was. But that's not a bad thing necessarily, because I think Terry works very well with Lonzo Ball out there. So this, I think, helps both units. If we're seeing the return of Terry Rozier on Friday, I would implore the Hornets team to switch Devontae Graham back to the bench unit and let him run with the bench guys. And I know there's crossover. It's not like hockey, like you switch 5 for 5, but like I would implore them to make that switch, because I think they are a better roster when they run a lineup of Lonzo Ball, Terry, Bridges, Hayward, and Washington. I know Washington also missed a game too. So like obviously Zeller, but like that is probably one of their best lineups moving forward, and that's one of the most exciting things. I think that both these guys will thrive from not having to play next to each other. I mean, it's nice having multiple guys who can facilitate on the floor, with Gordon Hayward being, one of the best and a veteran on that team, an all-star, probably an all-star again, actually. There's a shot. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they do moving forward. I think Lonzo Ball, God damn it, LaMelo Ball will have to start for them.
Trade rumors, Dave? You want to talk about Lonzo Ball trade rumors? Is that what you're hinting at?
I can't flip the table today. I flipped the table like 3 days in a row this week, Rick. You can't do it today.
So one question I do want to ask is with Devonta Graham, because of, let's say they do go with, because I believe both you and I are the same, where yes, LaMelo Ball should be starting. He's proven he's a starter. Like, that's the thing. His play is proven he's a starter. Devonta Graham,
his play is proven he should get 30 fucking plus minutes a night.
I mean, the last 3 games he has, like 38, 31, and I believe 30. Let me see. 38, 18, 31, 26, 31, 01. And then fucking game 19, he had 29, 47. So, like, the minutes have gone up even when he was coming off the bench in 2 of those, but he should be starting because he's a top 5 pick, top 3 pick. Should have been the number 1 overall pick. You're getting the number 1 overall pick at number 3. Because the bust of the draft went number 1, but that's besides the point.
He's playing well now that he's in the starting lineup too.
He's playing well. He's in the starting lineup, but let's see when fucking D'Lo gets fully back and healthy. Because I know questionable yesterday. We'll see how everything goes. But like Devonta Graham is an RFA at the end of the year. If you're the Hornets,
and on a dirt contract too.
Do you remember that? Do you try to bring him back, or because of LaMelo, do you go, you know what, if we lose Devonta, that's fine. Let's replace him somewhere else. Maybe try to get a guard that might fit with Scary Terry and LaMelo better, or do you say, hey, we'll bring them back if the contract is cheap enough?
I think it's the value of the contract. I mean, for Devontae, it comes down to like he's making next to nothing right now because of he wasn't a high draft pick. I don't think he was drafted, wasn't he?
1.6 million is what his contract is right
Yeah,
now.
he was 34th overall. So yeah, he was a second round. That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, he's worth 10 to probably 10 to 14 mil.
Okay.
Is my guess for what that contract will look like. Especially if they put him to the bench this year. Last year obviously was his breakout year. But same time, like it was, we needed a chucker. And I mean that with all due respect. This year they have Gordon Hayward being a stud. Terry Rozier's played well. Malik Monk, as of late, has taken over as a great backup scoring option off the bench.
Also an RFA at the end of the year.
Yeah, yep. Washington and the resurgence of Bridges, like they've got a lot of young guys up and coming. So I agree. This is a situation where you have to evaluate what his contract will be and what the worth is overall. I think Graham should stay. I think he thrived off the bench, and he got worse when he was handcuffed with Terry Rozier. So I'd love to see like how this works out as the season continues, because I do think we see that switch. I don't think they're a 3-guard team. I think Bridges plus LaMelo is the combo you look for.
Yeah.
That's like, it's not Lob City.
Yeah.
But it is fun, and it's contagious, and it gets the team going. And that's how you get the most out of Miles Bridges, because he's a player who has not really found his role in the NBA up to this point. He's just kind of like a middling, like, yes, he's got talent, but he's not really thriving. Now we're seeing him with the amazing facilitation of LaMelo Ball pop off and have these huge moments in games. When we talk about, a dunk is not just 2 points, it's momentum swing. Yeah. That is what he can bring to this team. That's why I think that you need to keep him, handcuffed to LaMelo. So to me, I don't want 3-guard lineups. Yeah. I want to have Devontae Graham on my bench, LaMelo in that starting unit. Give me the fun and excitement, and then that bench unit with Monk and Graham, who are just still very good players for the rest of this year.
And Graham's not a player that you have to worry about a team kind of in free agency. If, let's say, he hits it, you don't have to worry about a team giving him a contract that is more than you're going to pay him, right? Because obviously he's not getting a max deal, but like,
he's not a max player. I don't know that he would get 15 mil a year. I mean, I'm trying to think of the most point guard desperate team outside of Chicago. Because
only thing I'm thinking of is like, what if the Thunder don't get a top 3 pick? They don't go point guard in the draft then, and then they go, hey, we can give Devonta Graham between 10 to 14, 10 to 15 to play next to Shea.
I mean, I think they like Lou Dort and Hamadou next to him personally,
because like that's a team that's all they're doing is just, hey, let's just throw shit at the wall, see what sticks.
And that's true. They are a team that has the capital to fuck with people too. Remember how the old school Nets used to do that shit?
Yeah.
So we'll offer who was it? It was something Tyler, right? From the Heat when he signed that massive fucking deal. Why can't I think of his name? Fuck. They signed the Portugal.
It wasn't Hansbrough, right?
No, it wasn't Psycho T. He's shooting guard. Tyler Johnson.
That's it. Yes, you're right. Tyler Johnson.
He had like a good 2 months with the Heat, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna get a contract for $48 million. And like, fuck, we gotta resign him to that shit now because the Brooklyn Nets offered that to him. Like, they fucked with multiple teams. I think Otto Porter's contract, the same thing happened. I think they did it to a couple other people, and it was just like, damn, you got FU power. That's kind of cool. But yeah, no, like that's
right.
There's a chance that happens.
He was offered a 4-year, $50 million deal from the Nets, and then 4 days later, the Heat matched the offer.
Yeah, and that was the one where it went 2 years at reasonable, and then 2 years insanely high.
And then in 2019, he was then traded along with Wayne Ellington to the Suns for Ryan Anderson.
Hell yeah.
So,
yeah. And he did play, I think he played in the bubble with the Nets, actually.
He did. June of 2020, he signed with the Nets. And then on November 27th, he was re-signed, so he's on the Nets still.
I got some good fucking memories for certain things. But yeah, like I think that, yes, Devontae Graham could be a target for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if a team like the Pistons moved on from Derrick Rose, they wanted someone to make sure that, hey, we love the idea of Hayes moving forward, but we need insurance. Yeah. Devontae Graham could be that insurance, you know? I don't know if that's the move for them necessarily. I'm just trying to come up with hypotheticals. I don't know if a team like New York could absolutely look at Devontae Graham and go, hey, how would he fit if we had him at the one, quickly, and RJ out there? Like, would that be a great lineup for us? Or again, do we strike because free agency happens after the draft?
Yeah.
It's such a hard thing to predict because we don't if you're going to predict the Knicks are going to land a point guard in the draft, then there's no reason for them to go address it in free agency. It's, you got to play that game. But no, I think the Hornets.
I love how we're dancing around the one team that needs a point guard because I don't think either you or I want him on the.
I said it right at the gates.
The Bulls?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear you say the Bulls.
I did say it right at the gates.
I wouldn't want him on the Bulls.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Like I just don't think he fits next to Zach. Am I wrong?
He shoots threes. He facilitates well. I don't know what you don't like. He doesn't play good defense. I mean, that's sort of the same problem that we have with everyone.
Turnovers and defense. Those are our top two problems right now.
His turnover ratio isn't bad, Ricky.
But does he fix the defense too? Like, which is more important, having a defensive point guard or a non-turnover point guard?
Yeah, we need defense and facilitating. We don't even give a fuck if you can shoot the ball. That's why we kept looking at Lonzo Ball.
We're still looking at Lonzo Ball, Dave.
Correct.
It's probably the one that fans are hoping for.
But yeah, this is a situation where Lonzo, God damn it,
LaMelo.
Reset, Dave. LaMelo Ball is in a great position to take over the reins from Devontae Graham in that starting unit. I don't think this is anything where Devontae will be like, I mean, yeah, it's a pride hit, but at the same time, like, he's a 25-year-old. We sort of, we're shook when he came out and dropped ridiculous numbers, but we understand that came with volume. Now this year he has backed it up by getting back on track to be a good player, but he is not necessarily the guy who is your franchise savior. That's LaMelo Ball. That's the guy who has the upside to be literally like a 30, 10, and 10 player. Like, he has crazy good energy. He's got insane upside. He needs to get these minutes, and he needs to know that he is the face of the franchise moving forward. Devontae Graham is a great piece. He's a great player, but he is not the franchise cornerstone. That's the end of the day for me.
Yeah, and like for me too, it's you say like, oh, it'll be a knock from, like, you've been in the league so long, dude, that it's like
he hasn't been. This is year 3.
No, but I'm saying like long enough.
Because he came out as a senior.
Long enough to be like, you should know that nothing is given to you in the NBA. Well, sometimes someone outplays you, and then
I don't know if he's been outplayed yet.
I think LaMelo is clear the better player.
I mean, LaMelo impacts the team better, but I think that Devontae Graham, I don't know if I would say better player, because like I haven't really whatever that, but yeah, LaMelo's got the higher upside for the future. LaMelo is the more exciting player. LaMelo makes players better. So yeah, I guess he is the better player.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would still say just put your ass on the bench, run the bench unit well. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get, $20 million. You're going to get, like I said, 10 to 14. That's what I would expect for his yearly pay. I don't think he's going to be getting, a high level offer unless the team gets desperate for a guard this offseason.
Dave, next thing we'll move into is there were comments made by De'Aaron Fox about the All-Star game. Instead of me reading them, I'm just going to go ahead, and I took the overlay down because I'm going to go ahead and just play the video. It's about a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video. This is De'Aaron Fox's comments about said All-Star game when asked about it.
Hey, De'Aaron, I don't know if you've heard about the plans to possibly bring back the All-Star game this weekend. Does that surprise you at all because of COVID-19 and all the conditions you guys are dealing with, traveling and everything? And is that something that you've thought about personally for yourself as your play has improved, your team's play has improved?
I mean, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I think it's stupid. If we have to wear masks and do all of this for a regular game, then what's the point of bringing the All-Star game back? But obviously, money makes the world go round. So it is what it is. But, I'm not really worried about it. If I'm voted, so be it. If I'm not, I don't.
Would you play in it?
You get fined if you're supposed to be in it and you're not hurt and you decide not to play. That's a hefty fine. So hell yeah, I would play in it. Hope I don't get fined for saying that shit.
So, Dave, I'm gonna go ahead and say this.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox may be my new favorite player in the NBA. Because he's saying what we're all thinking. Like, the first thing I thought of when I saw the NBA was going to have an all-star game was, what's the fuck? Like, I thought the first thing what he said is what I thought first. Oh, money. Cha-ching, cha-ching, making some money. But then there's a part of me, too, that's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we're trying to limit the spread. We've already had teams like the Wizards and the Grizzlies, more so the Wizards, have their seasons fucked a little bit by COVID.
The Heat.
And
the Heat are in fucking
the Heat.
Third to last place in the league right now.
What would be going through Adam Silver's mind that he would want to say, hey, let's just bring all the best players from all these teams together to possibly maybe cross-contaminate each other? Like, there's a possibility of that. And then every team is fucked. Every team gets fucked. Because then they go back to their old teams and they all get fucked. Like, I agree with De'Aaron Fox. Yes, no to the All-Star game. No, it's a pointless fucking game anyways. The only reason we watch it is for an entertainment value, not for a final score. So if that's the case, why fucking play a meaningless game that doesn't even matter who wins or loses just because you want to have an All-Star game?
I agree completely, but I have a counteroffer, Ricky.
Yeah.
I have a proposal.
Yeah.
What if the NBA flipped the All-Star game a la the Pro Bowl to the end of the season, remove the players who'll be playing in the NBA Finals?
Mm-hmm.
I would say even the NBA Finals. So you have like an extra, 3 days break for the players who are going to the finals. So they're 100% healthy and in the clear. And again, by that point in the season, this year, we assume these basketball players will all be inoculated with the vaccine. That way we still get an All-Star game.
What about having it after the finals? Because then,
what's up?
What about after the final?
No one gives a fuck about that.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking is, what about like the weekend after the finals? Because then if LeBron James is in the finals, he can play in the All-Star game. Because really, that's the bottom line.
Nobody want to play in the All-Star game after you win or lose the finals.
Oh, I get it, Dave. But the only thing I have a problem with that is with the NBA, and the NFL doesn't really worry about this as much because it's more of the NFL's not a player-driven league. Like the NBA is. Like, is anyone going to watch an All-Star game? Let's say like this year, if it's the Nets and the Lakers, are anyone going to watch the All-Star game if AD, LeBron, Harden, Kyrie, and KD are not playing? The basketball junkies will, but will the casuals have enough of like, oh, well, those 5 players aren't playing? Fuck this then.
We don't even know if all 3 Nets are going to make the All-Star game, Ricky. First off.
I know. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, they wouldn't be able to if they were in the finals. That's what I'm saying.
Correct. But I don't think anybody wants to go play in an All-Star game after they lose the finals.
I get that.
So who the fuck cares? Like, you're already risking a 50-50 chance of losing the best players. So you might as well have it the weekend before. Give them the honors. You are an All-Star. You are exempt from the game because you are in the finals. That's the real victory right there. You're the fucking best, man. I 100% think this should happen this way because, again, it gives the safe answer and it still gives us the All-Star weekend. And I think that Chris Paul, LeBron James, and the members of the NBA PA are massive fans of the idea of we want to put the best product out there. And it's all about players first. So if they can buy themselves an extra 3-day rest for the NBA Finals, they're absolutely going to take that up. Like, there's a fucking huge win for them. And again, it's just this season. I'm not saying it's I'm saying this season, to these circumstances, you don't want a massive spread or event that could affect all 30 teams in the NBA. I think the safe bet is to just push the events of that weekend, the celebration, because then you could also turn into the award ceremony. because I fucking hate that the award ceremony was in goddamn July last year.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the one issue I had. Like, here's another issue I have with it.
All right.
Well, it's just the whole thing I think of is like I'm thinking of the Pro Bowl, where
what if it's before the playoffs? But then no player in the whole playoffs will play. That's my thought.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I'm getting to. Like, I'm not saying everyone in the playoffs won't, but like, how many players each and every Pro Bowl do we hear? Oh, this player's not going to play, so here's a replacement. Oh, this one has an injury. Like,
that's what Darren mentioned.
To where it's like,
dude, if I don't play, I get fined. Like,
yeah, to where it's like, I almost look at it and like, for example, go back to, and yet again, this is me picking and choosing events that have already happened, but let's say we did this the season that like the 76ers got knocked out the way they did against the Raptors. Are some players going to look at it to where it's like, you know what, like with how I lost in the playoffs, I need to get away from, like, that's the thing that's different, where it's like, will some players in the playoffs that lose be like, I need to get away from basketball because of how emotional that series was, where the difference of playing it in the middle of a year is that you're still grinding. Like, everyone still has that. What?
Why is it different for football then?
It's just when they decided to have it. I'm not saying it's perfect.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, if football players have no problem playing in that game after they've lost a series or lost in the playoffs, whatever, then why is it any different?
The Pro Bowl originally used to be after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's how it used to be. I think that, yet again, I think you run into the same problem the NFL does have of there are players that are like, after their season ends or after they get knocked out in the playoffs, they don't want to play in a Pro Bowl. They don't want to play. I know football has the added risk of the contact. So it's like players are like, I ain't going to fucking injure myself to play in a game.
Barely fucking have contact in that Pro Bowl now.
Back in the day, it used to have more. And football is still football, to where basketball doesn't have that. But I worry if there will be stars, and maybe you avoid this by having like, oh, you get fined if you don't go. But then,
already have that.
But then at that point, it's like you're forcing, like, that's the whole thing where it's like, I'm not against it, but I don't know how it's going to work in execution. Like, I just have question marks about it. I would have to see it.
Silver doesn't give a fuck about your problems, though. He's there to make money. And if we're trying to make money and do it safely, I think a year-end All-Star game makes more sense than a mid-year All-Star game.
Does. You're right.
I think it's a better answer.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
I think it gives the players an opportunity to rest before the NBA championship. And I think it gives everyone the ability to compete up to that point. And you're literally getting like players who are like, hey, I'm just wrapped up my fucking playoff run. I'm still at the highest point of my game in the season. Turn into the All-Star game. And again, he doesn't give a shit about the actual product on the court. It's all about the advertising money. He is there to make sure that the bottom line totals hit. And I think that game, you can't ride a higher point in the NBA season. Viewership is never higher than the NBA Finals. You don't see times where people are watching more and more basketball than the end of the year in the playoffs. So I think that by putting the All-Star game there, you are making more money and you are still drawing more attention to your sport. Your players are happier because they're all inoculated, and the players in the finals will have more break time. I think it's a massive win all the way around. Now, I think a mid-year thing would be dumb, and it's a risk that they don't need to take.
We agree that it shouldn't happen middle of the year. If they did do it where you're saying, I totally agree with you. It would make more sense. The only question marks I have is, like I've said, like, I am not thinking with my first one, I'm not thinking of it from a basketball junkie mindset. Like, if you watch every single basketball game and you're watching every single playoff game, like basically I'll relate it to this, where if you have a YouTube channel, your P1s, your for sure fans, they're going to watch whatever the fuck you do.
Right. So we don't care about them.
NBA doesn't have to worry about those. I worry though about the casual fans that if, like, for example, like I said, depending on who makes the finals, if certain players aren't there, like LeBron is the big one, LeBron, KD, and then any of the Nets, because that's the finals matchup that makes me worry about viewership, because you're taking 5 guys that most of them would probably make the All-Star game. Not all of them, but most of them. and then they can't play in it? How is that going to hurt the viewership from the casual fan? Will enough casuals be like, well, I'm not going to watch this year because LeBron's not in it and AD's not in it and KD. Then, like I said, the other part of, yes, I agree with you. Guys are at the highest, like, I've been working all year and I'm at the highest level of play. I could play in it, but would some players not want to play in it? Because it's like, for example, I bring up the example of Joel Embiid. Do you think Joel Embiid would want to play in a All-Star game right after he got eliminated from the Raptors? Now, I know money. I know you can find them, but like...
You can find them, but they also make money by being in the game, Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
It's a double-edged kind of thing, you know? They get an extra paycheck for being in the game. They get an extra paycheck for winning said game. And again, you still have the skills, tourney, and all that shit.
I mean, yet again, I'm going to ask the question of, is the fine big enough to where like a guy like Joel Embiid or like the big star that makes money off his contract, makes money off of the sponsorships that he has, would any of them who basically have, if they're as strong of like, I'm not playing in it, would a fine or I get an extra whatever amount of money for winning the game, is that enough to make them want to play rather than like, whatever, fucking fine me, who gives a shit, I make enough money as it is?
My answer is I don't give a fuck about you or your money. That's part of the contract. As Adam Silver, my job is to get the players to the game.
I'm saying, like, would the fine not affect some players? Because they'd be like, whatever, fine me.
Sure
like, it doesn't matter.
I'm sure it would, but they don't give a fuck about that. Like, Adam Silver's job is not to make sure that he's got a checklist of players who need to be there or else. No, he's there to make sure that ad revenue is there. He's there to make sure that commercials sell. He's there to make sure product placement's there. He's to make sure it's the Gatorade All-Star Game sponsored by Pepsi, IKEA, and Volkswagen, or whatever the fuck we want to make it. Like, he is all about the dollars and the bottom line. He doesn't give a shit if the viewership is an 8 or a 12. You know, that's not his job. His job is to get the money back in the NBA's pockets. That's all the All-Star game is. Saying it's anything more than that is being childish. Like saying this guy got 11 All-Star votes versus this one who got 7. No one gives a fuck because the All-Star vote is a popularity contest.
Yeah. The other thing too that I don't
know if I'm incredibly jaded here, but that's my purview of that situation.
Yeah, it's just like the thing I feel like with this conversation is you and I come at it from different sides, where you are the basketball junkie. So like you're going to come at it from that vibe of I watch every game, I bleed basketball. I come at it more of like
ignore those people. My viewpoint is ignore the people who are junkies. You don't give a shit about them because their opinion doesn't matter.
I am coming at it from if X players are not going to be playing in it because of the finals, and if X more players say the fine doesn't matter to me, I'm not playing in it anyways because of when it is. If enough players don't play that are high caliber,
it's not just the fine; it's also contract stipulations. By the way,
what do you mean? Like they
get bonuses if they are like in my contract. Say I'm,
yeah, but they still get the honor even if they don't play in the game.
That's the whole thing. Like you heard, I know football's not basketball, but I've heard basketball players as well, but the one that strikes to mind is Pat McAfee. The whole thing of like, in your contract, you literally get an extra $1 million if you make an all.
Because he mentioned that Irsay didn't, because he wanted to do he didn't want to do the quarterback challenge.
His contract in legal writing said you do not get this money unless you play in this game.
Yeah, and he's like, I want to do the quarterback challenge. And they said no, and he said, well, fuck you then.
Right. So the point is that people have more than just that writing on them. These guys who are. Not everyone in the NBA is gonna have generational wealth after they leave the game, and that's the thing you have to think about. But there are literally, a handful of guys who have that. So everybody else, do you want to say no to the chance at a $2 million bonus for making the All-Star game? No, I think I would rather have $2 million.
I'm still gonna throw it at this way though. Of yes, in the Pat McAfee story, Irsay paid him when he didn't have to. But at the bottom line, Pat McAfee still said no before he knew Irsay was going to pay him. So, like, if I'm saying, like, I'm bringing up Joel Embiid's name, but, like, if a Joel Embiid, a Giannis, if any of those...
quit their careers in the middle of their prime while they're being nominated Pro Bowls and extensions? The answer is about 7.
No, I know. Like
in the history of the game,
circumstance is a
he
thing.
is an asterisk.
Yeah,
right? He is not the standard. He's the exception to the rule.
I'm just saying, if any of these top players like Giannis, Embiid, Ben Simmons, Levine, any of these ones that could be in the All-Star game, Dame Lillard, Jokic.
Squeezing Levine there, eh?
He's number 5 on the fucking fan vote so far, so give him some respect. But like, if any of these players, Kawhi, Paul George too, if any of them go, well, fuck it, I'm not playing because X amount of money doesn't matter at the end because I do have the wealth to where I can say it doesn't matter.
It's not about the money to these people, though.
But what I'm saying is,
it's about their passion for the game. Usually, that's why they go to All-Star games.
All I'm saying is if any of them pass on it for whatever reason it is, fuck whatever reason, use whatever reason you want. If any of them pass, plus the players that wouldn't be playing because of the finals, the casual fans that you're saying, okay, we got to care about them, would they still want to watch? Without like, wow, we're the fucking stars. I feel like that would hurt casual viewers and hurt the viewers you're trying to bring in because you already know your dedicated ones are going to watch. That's all I'm saying.
Basketball viewing numbers suck anyway.
Yeah, like I was going to say, there was an article 2 years ago, the last time we had an All-Star game. All-Star game ties record low ratings.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So like, really doesn't even matter if they have a game. I think the thing I was going to throw out there is instead of having an all-star game, should basically the NBA do what basically we were doing at the beginning of quarantine, where it's like, all right, you're going to vote for X amount of players to be in this tourney where they're playing 2K against each other. Do what fucking killed at the beginning of quarantine. Dave, you say the jerk-off motion. People were watching it. People were talking about it.
Did you watch the Pro Bowl?
The Pro Bowl?
Just happened, yeah. Did you watch it?
No, I didn't, but I'm not.
Yeah, because no one gives a fuck about Kyler Murray playing 2K.
But
or Madden, I'm sorry.
For some reason, people did for the NBA. That's all we were talking about at the time. Oh, did you see Cat play D-Book and all that? Like hit to where
I didn't watch any of that.
they could do that. Like they could do that. If, like that to me is more entertaining than watching an NBA game.
No. I vehemently disagree that watching 2K is more entertaining than watching even the top 60 players play basketball.
Okay.
You could take out the top 10 and say you can have the 11 through 60 in this game. Like, great fucking game. Shit, you give me 30 through 60, I'd be like, great fucking game.
But yet again, let's say 15 through, like number 15 is the best player in that game.
You're saying 5 players. That's the worst case scenario for Adam Silver in my situation.
Yeah. So then let's say
unlikely.
Let's say top 10 are out. Just for the
top 5,
sake of argument. Like, but
because that's 2 guys or 2 teams in the championship per you.
But I am saying I do believe there will be a couple players from the playoffs that will say.
Well, Jimmy Butler notoriously last time drank and enjoyed his way through the weekend and then did not play in the game, right? Yeah. If I recall correctly, yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm just saying where I do fear that the casual numbers would not be.
And why do players play the game anyway, Ricky? Like, if you're making this big
mistake, it's a conversation for a different day, Dave. Like,
you're
I hate all-star games in general. I hate all-star games in general. I'll be honest. Like, they have no appeal.
You make it sound like this is like they shouldn't be obligated to play in this game, which
they shouldn't.
I agree. That's a different conversation. But like, we haven't seen players in the past opt out of all-star honors in large groups. It's like a one-off or a two-off.
Yeah. The only reason I'm bringing this up is the fact that
De'Aaron said himself who played.
No, I know that, but like yet again, he's saying this knowing like the situation is that the game is in the middle of the year. The world we're talking about is if the game is moved before the finals. That's the only reason I'm bringing up players possibly not wanting to play in it. Because like I said, it's a different circumstance where in the middle of the season, you're like players aren't going to go, yeah, I'm not going to play in that game.
See, that's the one where I would be less likely to play in the game if I had a choice.
Because it would fuck up your season?
Yeah, if I'm on a fucking heater right now, why am I risking playing in the game, getting out of sync with my team? Doesn't make fucking sense.
I agree with you, but like that's
the All-Star weekend is all about hanging out with the fucking best in the league. It's a networking event, Ricky.
Yeah, yet again, all the points you're making are great. It's just the thing that
you're just like, I just refuse to see it from that point of view. I'm sticking for the little guy.
I see where you're sticking from. It's just like I said, and this is a worry. This is a worry that if we ever did happen in this hypothetical that we created. Yet again, once it happens and it's successful, okay, I was wrong. But like, it's just something where we hear it all the time, where players after a playoff loss, most of them say right after they lose, they got to disconnect. It's like they got to get away. So it's like if I lose, let's say someone loses in the first second round,
she cried like a bitch in the locker room. But like outside of him, I don't remember anyone else saying that.
But like if they're like, I got to get away and just disconnect, because usually that's what you do in the off season. Is you disconnect for a little bit. Like Aaron Rodgers this past time when he lost. It's like, well, I'm going to, get away from football for a little bit. And then when the time is right, I'll come back to it and we'll get ready to go. Like, I feel like that's how all athletes are. They need to basically step away from the game during the off season.
Slightly just different situation there with his organization choosing to not give him help to get into a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We don't know how any of the stars are going to feel following a playoff loss because we don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. For if the game was happened in that situation. But Dave, let's move on. Let's go ahead and go into a segment we love to do. The dampest of dudes, the soggiest of shooters, the moistest of men, and sometimes the mistiest of misses. These are our wet boys. How it works is Dave gives a wet boy, I give a wet boy, and then the patrons at patreon.com/MVPvids also give a wet boy as well. So if you want to some people are like, oh, well, you know what? Such and such player doesn't give love. Support us silver and above, and you get to vote. Maybe we give love then to your player because you're making sure that player gets voted for each and every day. What?
Vote does matter a lot in those votes.
A lot. One vote does matter a lot. But Dave, I will kick it off to you like I always do. Who's your wet boy? February 4th, 2021.
Going with Tyrese Halliburton here. Again, perhaps the steal of the draft by the Kings, doing something right for one time in their fucking life. He had a pretty good game. Defensively, he just knows what to do. He had two standout plays in this game. One where he intercepted an inbound pass, and he literally just fucking like went back like wide receiver, like, okay, what's his name on the Browns who's been out? OBJ. Yeah. He OBJ'd that fucking shit out of the air, grabbed it down, and then brought it up, obviously. But like the other play where at the end of the game on the line, he's got Grant Williams in front of him. He's defending Grant Williams about 3 feet inside the 3-point line. And I want to say it's like a 4-point game or 3-point game. Fucking, you see what's coming. You see Jaylen Brown coming on the curl on the inside through the paint, going to open himself up for a wide open 3-point shot. Halliburton sees it, corner of his eye. He's like, fuck no, swats down, nails Grant Williams, puts him to the line. Like, we are not letting a wide open 3-point Jaylen Brown happen. Not up in here. I mean, it was just the basketball IQ out of Tyrese Halliburton, insanely high. The smart playmaking, the scoring, he is just a fucking stud. And I'm so glad to see it because I bragged on his behalf last year so much saying he's just a high quality fucking player, like high caliber recruit, high caliber player in the NBA. He will continue to piss excellence. And that is what I love to see early out the gates for this Kings team.
Fucking love Hallie. That's like the Kings are one of those teams that are just fun to fucking watch. De'Aaron Fox goes off. Hallie goes off. I love fucking Harrison Barnes, Dave, because I'll say it till the day I die. If you're looking for a player prop in the NBA in the betting world, if you see 1.5 over under for made threes from fucking Harrison Barnes, right now fucking hit that over. Slam that over because he's making threes at an insane clip. I'm going to go to college for mine. I'm going away from the NBA, mainly because there was a big upset yesterday.
What happened?
Where a top 5 team went down. The East Carolina Pirates, the Buccaneers, Dave. the El Capos, the Buccos. They beat the Houston Cougars, and Jaden Gardner was a big reason why. Pirates went in. So here's the thing: Houston blows out teams. They're like they're like Gonzaga, Diet Gonzaga, I'll say, where they're blowing teams out by 20, but no one's talking about them. Everyone's talking about the Zags because they're number one, and they always do this. They always go undefeated in the regular season, and then the tourney happens, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're playing top 5 opponents. But Jaden Gardner,
2 top 5 lost yesterday.
They did. But the Cougars, they went in up 3 up half. I'm like, ooh, that's not good. They're usually blowing teams out. 21 points from Gardner. The Pirates outscore them 45-33 in the second half to win 82-73. They won by almost double digits over the number 5 team that blows people out left and right. Quentin Grimes is on this team. I don't think he played. He did play. He played 29 minutes, went 2 of 10 from the field for 7 points. So they were playing defense as well. Got to give credit to the Pirates going with their leading scorer, Gardner, in the game.
I'll tell you what, that's an impressive performance in college. Who's the other team, top 5, who lost?
The other team in the top 5 who lost was
Jake Droppins.
Oh, yes, because I bet them on the to cover St. John's. St. John's beat Villanova, number 3 team. So
the
3
Villanova lost to St. John's.
3 and 5 both fell. Alabama blew the shit out of LSU. I love Alabama getting back into the winner's circle.
Nice.
Could have went with Georgetown. Georgetown also beat number 15 Creighton.
You know what I almost did, Ricky?
What?
I almost gave a wet boy to Tom Thibodeau's defense. We shot like 16% from 3.
Yeah. Like, it's almost like when you give Tom you play against Tom, you give him a day to plan for it. It's kind of like he knows what to do.
It hurts so bad watching all the missed threes. Like, weren't even to their credit. They were just wide open threes and we couldn't hit. I think it was like a mental trauma at that point. It was like, who's coming for me?
Yeah, Lowry did not have a good game.
No one shot well. Except for Thad, who is apparently now our second best player.
Yeah. And I mean, you've also got the fact that, what was it? Garrett Temple, his 3 at the end of the game was like I want to defend Garrett Temple because he's been playing well for us all year, but that shot was bad. That shot was bad, Dave. Shout out to
the Knicks defense.
Yeah, the patrons today, Dave, they're going to the NBA. They're going with a little PG-13 action. 36 points in a win last night.
We say it. You want to say it for the 3rd time this week, Ricky?
What?
That one miss doesn't even count.
Oh yeah, that one miss don't even count. He went 8 for 8 from 3.
I mean, Paul George is scoring at a different level. Like, he's a different human being. I don't know if it's just he's the happiest human being to not be in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Might be. That might be the thing. Like, everybody else got better shooting the bubble. He got worse.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch this Clippers team move forward because they have been one of the best teams offensively and defensively this year, and they still have room to make moves. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to continue watching them. But yeah, Paul George, just a banger of a game.
And Dave, that's going to bring us into, I'm going to make an executive decision. Brett Favre did make comments about Deshaun Watson. We're just going to cut it. I didn't expect the All-Star conversation to go as long as it did.
It's 6:30 already.
Yeah. Before we get into our next topic, though, we talked about balls earlier, Dave, or LaMelo Ball. Let's talk about today's sponsor of the show, Manscaped. Support for MVP Sports Live today comes to you from Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision tools for your family jewels. I'm sorry, precision-engineered tools. Those are better than just precision tools, Dave, for them family jewels. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all your below-the-waist grooming needs. Dave, there is nothing better than a smooth ball sack. Just ask LaMelo Ball. Being smooth out there, making all the right plays, going left, going right. You got to be able to make those same plays too. You're going to do that with the Lawnmower 3.0. This thing is truly amazing, and you can get yourself a Lawnmower 3.0, 20% off and free shipping if you go to manscaped.com right now and use the code MVP. That is 20% off and free shipping. Go into manscaped.com using that code MVP. Get yourself the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you. And Dave, that is going to bring us into our next topic. And with this one, I'm going to kind of let you have the floor with it and let you kind of sit in the driver's seat, because this was a topic that you brought up. You actually brought it up earlier this week, because I believe you mentioned this earlier this week.
I did.
So we call it tease in the biz, Dave, a little bit of a tease. But ESPN had a mock draft. They did a full 60 pick mock draft. And without spoiling anything, Dave's not too happy about some of these picks.
Sometimes it's a bit fucking ridiculous, We're looking at this mock draft from a realistic standpoint. And when I say realistic standpoint, I don't expect to see one of the fucking league's best players, the league, as in the college ranks, best players, down there in the the mid and late 30s. Jaden Springer, the head of the fucking Tennessee three-headed monster down there, their backcourt, at 39 to Sacramento. Like, who the fuck has Jaden Springer as a mid-second rounder right now? I don't think anyone should, because he is one of the youngest prospects coming into this draft. He has so much upside. He's playing in a very slow-moving Tennessee offense. He has incredible potential. If he was playing at a team that let him run the court, let him move with some tempo, he would be putting up gaudy numbers. Ricky, your boy, Io. Nope.
Yeah, Io.
You said it right. Every time my brain has to think.
It's an A, but it's pronounced an I.
Io DeSumo. Guess where he's at?
I'm looking at it. He's at 35.
He's at 35, Ricky.
He's at 35.
How is one of the best scoring guards / point guards, combo guards in college at 35? I know he's a junior, but the stats tell a story.
Yeah, Dave, the thing here is, I know you're looking for the big rah-rah reaction out of Ricky.
Yeah, where's the anger? Where's the fucking frustration?
So there's anger. It's just how how's the saying go? Where it's there's this, then there's 50 for of shit, and then there's my frustration. And the reason why I'm at this point is even Tankathon, for Springer, Tankathon has him at 10th overall. For Io DeSumo, they have him at 33. So to me, the Io hate isn't just an ESPN thing, it's an everybody thing. Everybody hates Io DeSumo. I don't know what the fuck you're looking at, because
yeah.
I just here's the thing. Io does have some bad games, has some slow starts to games, but yet again, this Illinois team just has some bad games. Like the game against Indiana, not a good game. But then you look at their game against Iowa, where they come back, they beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. This is an Io DeSumo that you don't necessarily have to look at where the team is record-wise. Illinois is really fucking good, by the way. They are a top 15 ranked team. 12th, I believe, in the last polls. We'll see where we go after the Indiana game, and I believe we have one more game this weekend. But the Iowa hate goes all around to where it's everyone is sleeping on him. I'm not on the bandwagon that I was before. Maybe top 10 was a little bit me being overzealous, and I knew that when I said it. I'm just going to back my boy. But he should definitely be in 20 to 30. Should definitely be in 20 for 30. If that's 75% chance 20 to 30, 100% chance 25 to 30. He's got to be in the first round.
Not a first rounder. Again, this is one of those moves where Dave today, if there was a prop bet for it, slam it down, thousands of dollars.
Slam it down, ham it down.
Io DeSumo is a first round talent. Same question. I think a guy who hasn't got as much credit maybe in Justin Champagne. We actually give him a wet boy, I want to say. Pitt player who, great size. He's 6'6" guard. Go ahead.
I think you gave him an honor. I don't know if you gave him a wet boy.
I remember talking about him during the wet boy segment, so he might have gotten an honors for hitting a big shot for Pitt. But again,
no wet boy. He got an honor.
He got an honor.
I just checked.
So he had a very good game. He's been good all year. Solid shooter, and I mean above average shooter out there. Can run well with an offense. Everything about his size means he should be ready for the next level. Charles fucking Bassey in the first round of your mock draft means I can't take you seriously. I can't. I know this is a Schmitz and Gavoni thing, but I can't fucking take him seriously, Ricky.
I mean,
in what world is Charles Bassey fast enough, has any foot speed to be a fucking NBA center? None. Fucking none.
How many years has he been in college too? Like, I think his rookie year, we had him in our first rounds and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then every single year it's like, you are an example of the more you stay in college, the more I don't like your game.
He's slow as fuck. His feet are in molasses, wrapped in cement. I don't even like. You can't be slower than him. That's the problem. Like, people want to give Luka Garza garbage about being too slow for the NBA. Let's talk about Charles goddamn Bassey. And like, Luka Garza should be higher than him. Luka Garza at least can stretch the floor. You're gonna have an offensive 5 off the bench who can score on other teams. That's basically Kelly Olynyk right there. Like, there's upside to a player of that caliber. Bassey, no.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm on full rant mode, Ricky. So interrupt anytime you need
I
to.
was just going to interrupt to say it. So I'm doing more research on this fucking Ayo Dosunmu shit, by the way. And I'm looking at point guards that they have drafted. You know, Cade Cunningham, number 1. That makes sense.
No argument.
Jalen Suggs, number 4. Makes sense. I'd probably have him 3rd, but we haven't seen Green play yet. They're assuming Green's going to be better.
Big boy.
Makes sense. Sharif Cooper, top 10 pick. You're saying he's a huge riser for you?
I am there with him.
So, like, there are some things they hit. But then after those point guards, so after the top 3 point guards, things start to go awry. They have David Johnson from Louisville, 19. This is either going to be looked back as a for sure hit, or you're smoking the crack pipe, because a lot of people have him 45, 40, second round kind of a player.
I think he's a late 1 player. I don't think he's that late in the second round, but I do think that he is being projected pretty highly here.
You also have Josh Giddey, who is a second round, maybe a first rounder. Like, he's in the IO the IO category. Probably should be a first rounder.
He has gotten some games under his belt now. It's no longer just hype.
Okay.
He's putting up near triple doubles in a couple games. They have dropped some stats for you. He does not shoot great from the outside, but he is someone who has size and great facilitation. So, again, he's like a scuffed Cade Cunningham.
Then I will give them a pass there, but like Davion Mitchell from Baylor, the only player I am focusing on from Baylor that's a guard right now is the guy they have below him, Jared Butler. He's the best player on Baylor.
Behind Davion Mitchell. How does that make sense? The better player is lower in the draft?
It doesn't.
In what fucking world, people?
Why would the Clippers take the worst player? Like, are they clowning on the Clippers? Is that what that is?
Clippers, the team notoriously looking for a point guard, someone who can ball handle,
who could
and
defend
create
too.
Others.
Like, could you imagine Butler defending next to Kawhi at PG?
It's a perfect replacement for goddamn Beverly. What are they doing? This is the dumbest shit. Like, I don't rip on ESPN as often as we used to, but like, this is maddening. And again, like, seeing Bagley that high, I question. Seeing Wagner that high, I question. I think Wagner's probably, again, 20 is probably the highest. I mean, that is extremely high for me. I had him going 25 through 40. To me, that is reasonable. I'm a little surprised here, Ricky. You know who we're not seeing at the top of this?
Who?
We're not seeing the legacy players. Where's a Ron Harper Jr.? Where's little Pippen? Where are those guys?
Are they not even on the mock draft at all?
I believe. Let me just.
Pippen is not.
I don't see Harper either.
Harper is not. They're not. And like that is so fucking bullshit, because there's even an ESPN Plus article here that is, will Ron Harper and Scottie Pippen Jr. follow in their dad's footsteps? So like, are we expecting them to stay another year? Is that what we're expecting? Is that why they're not putting them in the mock? That's the thing. It's
ridiculous. And again, like a player who I and John from our boy John, you know, we love him. Fucking Roko Perkichin. This guy, European player. If you haven't watched his highlights, he has an incredibly interesting toolkit. He has huge upside, great frame. Looks like he will be able to move forward to the NBA without a problem transitioning over. Just, he has a great skill set for the NBA, and they've got him down here at 41. Keontae Johnson, someone who literally almost died on the court.
Yep, is 40.
Is higher than him. That I'm like, are we playing the same game? Are we watching the same thing? And then Ricky, I want to give you a chance.
Yeah.
Now I know we've been talking about just players and positioning, but Ricky, the Bulls,
Yeah.
At 7, taking Keon Johnson. How does that make you feel?
It's a bad pick.
It's a bad fucking pick.
Like the next, I will say this. Do they think we're the Chicago Bears?
Yeah.
Because look at the next 3 guys drafted after him. Zaire Williams, I'd take him.
Absolutely.
Sharif Cooper, I'd take him. Fuck,
you
even
will?
Corey Kispert, I'd take him, Dave. Like, all 3 of those guys are better than Keon Johnson. Not the Keon Johnson. Fuck, make it 4. Give me Book Night Says Good Night, baby.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing.
Thank
It's
you, Dave,
just
for that.
It's very frustrating to see
5 and 6, Moody and Barnes. Like, come on now. Any of those 5 or 6 guys are better than Keon Johnson to the Bulls.
Yeah. I think that's the frustration. Is I don't understand where this is coming from. I think Usman Garuba is someone who has been falling down boards left and right because his play has been less than impressive in Europe. And for them to hold him steady at 17 right now is shocking to me, because I think a lot of people are like, he seems like more of a limited player than we expected. His defense is still above average, but offensively, he's not as good as we had hoped for. And we already had a limited mind. Like, we didn't think he was going to be a scoring threat or anything. It was just like, can he be Draymond Green-esque? You know, that was the hope. And we haven't seen that. So I'm surprised that he's still as high as he is on that list. You know, there are names I'm happy to see get the recognition, but like having Marcus Bagley above Greg Brown, I'm just shaking them and going, what do you see that I don't?
Dave,
because I don't see any reason why Greg Brown would be eclipsed by Marcus Bagley.
Can I ask you a dumb question?
Yeah.
Is 3 or 4 games enough days for you to get a good enough gauge on the G League guys? For a mock draft, you would say?
I mean, probably. Let's be honest. I've watched their college or their high school tape about 1 billion fucking times at this point. Yeah. All their mixtapes. So
I'm going to say this, if this works for you. You and I, let's plan to, yet again, this will not be live, but I'm letting everyone know this live. Let's plan to record our next mock draft podcast on Saturday the 13th. Because the G League starts on Wednesday the 10th. We'll record on Saturday. It'll release on Monday the 15th.
I love it.
Well, it'll release on Patreon the 15th. It'll release everywhere else the 22nd. So
another player who shockingly low.
Yeah.
David Duke. He had 2 bad games.
David, not that Duke.
What's up?
David, not that David Duke.
Correct. David, not that David Duke. Not the evil one.
Yeah.
College player.
I know we said that about Mike Miller and it was a joke. This was not a joke.
This is not a joke. This is a Providence college player who is a junior who has been playing extremely well. He had 2 bad games, Georgetown, Seton Hall. His 2 most recent games were his worst games of his career.
God, Providence
up to this point, even with those games account for, he's still 40, 40, 80. Yep. But like, if you take those games out, his shooting splits are immaculate. I mean, just such a good player. I think he is a absolute hit the next level. He kind of gives, no, I'm not saying it. He gives me vibes of a great combo guard, you know? A current combo guard who has talent. Nope, not doing it. I will leave that as a floater. People can imagine in the future. But David Duke, not that David Duke, will be a earlier pick than where did I have? I just said it. 48.
Yeah.
Just egregious, Ricky. I am. This gets my blood fucking pumped. I don't know why I'm so angry, but it's a level of like.
Well,
am I not?
Here's what something? Here's what it is. It's because you and I also, by the way, before I get into this, I'm going to mute you for a second. You got to tell me. You're muted. They can only hear me. You got to tell me. They can't hear you, Dave. I
not doing it. I will save it for the mock.
Okay. I thought it was something like you were going to do what I do, and you were going to compare him to someone that is just like astronomically high.
No. I mean, like, he's a good player.
Okay. I thought it was like something like that, but
he's a good player, but no.
I mean, here's what I think it is. I think it's because you and I, this is like what, our 5th year diving into a like, well, yeah, 5th year, because around 2016 here, I'm going to go back to the YouTube page because I think it was the 2016 draft where Brandon and I did the mock drafts together. This was before the fast break was even a thing. I think
Yeah,
it was the Ben Simmons draft. Was that 2016? That was
Yeah, because we talked Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram with you, me, and Sean.
Yes. So 2015 was the one that Brandon and I did. 2016 was the first one that we did. So what, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This will be our 6th mock draft together.
6 years of doing mocks together.
Yeah. To where it's like we almost feel like, and it's a point of pride thing, to where it's like
it really is.
We almost feel like we're NBA scouts without officially being NBA, like not NBA scouts,
We
but draft.
did go to G League.
We did.
I'm sorry, we did go to Summer League.
Yeah, and we sat behind Shepard from Washington, and we sat a few rows down from Gary Payton, the glove.
Literally, Gary Payton, 20 feet to our left. Rachel Nichols, 8 feet to our right. That's where we.
That guy in front of us though needed to cool his jets, man. He was being a creeper. You can't be a creeper to Rachel Nichols, but then you can't be a creeper to Rachel Nichols in front of your girlfriend. I felt sorry for her. He was setting the bar very low for boyfriend of the year, by the way.
That's true. That's true. But it was a great time, and I can't wait to do it again next year.
Shade at him. Also, MVP of the night goes to Mr. Peanut Head from New York that we were talking to, calling RJ Barrett Peanut Head. Now I can't unsee it.
Next teams are going to Summer League in the fall.
In the fall?
Well, it is no, it's the summer still. You're right.
Well, when it's safe, we'll go. When it's safe, we'll go, Dave.
I don't know if it's going to happen in July. I think it'll be like late August.
Yeah, but at that point, like, you got to, like, it depends. We'll go.
We'll go.
We're going again.
We'll go.
But yeah, like, the point is, we've been doing this so long that, like, it's one of those things where you look at a mock draft like this, and I don't even look, like, when you said, like, oh, this is a thing, I don't look at ESPN mocks anymore. Like, the only ESPN mock I look at is Todd McShay and Mel Kiper on the NFL, because they are the only two that I feel like are not influenced by the ESPN machine. Of, like, I feel like some of this draft is ESPN telling their NBA guys, make it spicy. Because they want to drive, like, us talking about it is technically giving them publicity to this mock, even though it's a bad mock and we're trashing it.
It is, but let's be honest, this is someone who usually, I do respect Gavoni.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan
came from Draft Express.
Mike Schmitz, 50-50. I have a hit and miss rate with him, but it's still someone who is at least known. But it is very frustrating to me to see this. And I'm like, I almost want to agree with you there and be like, is this intentionally spicy? Is this just like, we're just kind of throwing stuff out there? Or is this stuff that they're like, hey, we're hearing NBA teams? Because Jonathan does have an inside hook. That's the thing. It's like, is he hearing the teams are really high on Isaiah Jackson and Kai Jones? Is that what's going on? Because we don't have that connection. We're looking at it from a, like, I observe the game, I see the game, I see how we think they will translate.
I hear the rumors that the teams let out in the media.
Right. We're trolling the subreddits, we're seeing the rumor mill, but like we don't have that inside connection to the front office. I wonder if that is something that's influencing his mock, because I think I'm struggling to find a way to translate this to my brain of why it's logical to have these players where they are, and just outside of the Chicago pick, which is egregious. And we brought up the fact that, hey, the Clippers not taking someone who would literally fit their fucking need.
Dave, can you tell me where Daishen Nix is, by the way?
Daishen Nix is sitting at, oh God, I have to scroll. 43 to Sacramento. So, because Sacramento needs another point guard, right?
I know it's not that
right, they got De'Aaron Fox, they got Tyrese Halliburton. Let's go ahead and get Daishen Nix.
Yeah, I know it's not that far off from Tankathon. Tankathon does have him in the first round still at 29, but like, am I missing something? Because I feel like he is still, like, depending on how he plays in the G League, like,
I think they're winding up for the G League. I think this is like long-term story arc. They're like, look at this hot riser.
Let's put him low so he rises higher after.
That's 100%. In my mind, this is a story arc. This is like on March 4th when we're watching the end of the G League normal play. It's like surprise of the G League. Deshaun Nix has moved his way all the way up to like pick 17 or something.
Yeah.
Like that's what this is. This is all about getting the fucking massive risers as the season goes on, because I don't want to say it's the top is stable, but like we did bring up, it's Cade, it's Mobley, then it's Green, Suggs, Kuminga. Those seem to be almost a lock at this point. At least the top 2 are locked.
Unless Jalen Johnson does something that makes you think that he's going to be in the 3 through 5 range.
Jalen Johnson does have that kind of potential, though.
Like, he's the one that jumps up to me. That's
he oozes potential.
The only guys that I will say have the potential to break up the 3 through 5 range.
If Sharif Cooper hits threes going forward, it's game over. It's fucking game over, Ricky.
Reads my mind. I was going to say Jalen Jones and Sharif Cooper. Those are the only 2 that can break up the 3 through 5 trend.
Yep, I agree. I 100% agree. It is going to be crazy. I am so excited for this draft class. I've watched so much college basketball. I didn't know I could.
I love it. I've been watching college anyways because I fucking love the game.
But apparently, Alperen Sengun is someone who I need to get my eyes on.
Do you?
Because he's at 14.
Dave's like, never heard him before.
I honestly have only seen his name in mock drafts. I've never watched a single game. He's playing out of Turkey, I guess.
Yeah.
On a team I can't pronounce, Bestikis JK.
Oh.
I mean, someone will correct me at some
Dave's
point.
Like, someone will correct me. Any final thoughts with this, Dave, before we wrap up the show?
No, it's fun to be angry about things when they don't matter. In this mock in fucking February, before we've seen potentially the best players of this draft class play, is intriguing and thought-provoking. And I will give ESPN credit because I've clicked on this like 19 times. And I'm sure they got their ad money out of my fucking...
Dave's like, I have to go back and fucking see this again because I just can't believe it.
It gets the people going, Ricky.
It gets the people going. But that's going to do it for MVP Sports Live today. Thank you guys for doing everything you do. Remember, join the Discord. Greatest community in the universe. Link down below. ! Discord gets that into Twitch chat. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids, or you can throw us a sub on Twitch. Thank you to our Patreon sponsor, Pat Hill. We're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids. We're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. Also, thank you to today's sponsor of the show, Manscaped. Remember, 20% off and free shipping using the code MVP at manscaped.com. Remember, go ahead, 20% off free shipping, manscaped.com using the code MVP. Your balls will thank you. Dave and I will be back for a Super Bowl Friday, getting ready for Super Bowl weekend. Well, it's not the same as Super Wildcard Weekend.
I want to see about 1 billion prop bets out of you on Friday, Ricky. Dave, I want you to bring the proppiest of prop bets.
I am telling you the rundown right now. We're going to focus on the matchup between the Bucs defense and the Chiefs offense. We're going to flip it to the other side, Bucs O versus Chiefs defense. We will do all the fucking prop bets. I am going to list all of those motherfuckers.
I love it.
We're going to put our money where our mouth is, and then we'll make our picks.
Deal.
We'll make our picks. But that is going to be tomorrow. We will catch you guys then. Thank you for being as awesome as you are. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
WPN.